Hello, my name is John Brink and we are podcasting on the Brink from downtown Prince George. Now for those international, and national potentially watchers, Prince George is, I refer to it as the capital of northern BC, one of the absolute most beautiful places in the world. Today it's the 2nd of August and it's a beautiful day outside. It's been a little bit on the warm side, but today it's about mid to early low 20s probably for the day, and so beautiful time in Prince George. All the lakes, it is an absolute fabulous place. If you ever come to Canada, you must come to northern BC through Prince George. My guest today, a special guest, in particular in regards to this region, an amazing, I would call him a young man, is Kyle Sampson. Kyle,
thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, thank you so much. And I'll give you that. Young man fits for now.
Yeah.
For now. It's slowly phasing out, but it fits.
You're on the move.
Yeah, exactly. You're bang on when it comes to the region and the weather we've been having lately. It's a summer to die for. And so I think people are just enjoying the northern BC beauty, right?
Tell me a little bit about yourself in terms of I think you came to Prince George in 2002 or so. Where did you come from, or where were you born?
Yeah, so my family, both my parents are from Halifax, Nova Scotia originally, and my dad's got a large family, 10 siblings, and my mom has a smaller family, 1 sibling, and they moved to Edmonton along with a number of my dad's brothers and friends, coming west for work opportunities, right? So They moved to Edmonton in the 80s. And that's where they started the family. My mom followed my dad out, and they started their career and started a family. So me and my 2 siblings were actually born in Edmonton.
Yeah.
We grew up there for a few years, and then before moving to Winnipeg for my dad's job, back to Edmonton, and then.
What was your dad doing?
He worked for CN Rail. So
of all places.
Yeah, transportation, right? It brings you all across the country, and it moved him around. And when we moved to Winnipeg, I remember my dad moved to Winnipeg months and months and months before we did, and we finally moved there. And then probably about 6 months after moving there, he got transferred back to Edmonton, and so then we were there for another 6 months before we moved back to Edmonton. And then.
So did your family end up in Prince George, or you?
Yeah, my family did. So I moved here when I was still in elementary school, and grade 5, and we came here for my dad's job.
When was that?
2002.
I don't want to put you on the spot here, but
that's why I'm still
you got to know, right?
Somewhat young man, right?
Yeah,
I was about 10. And moved here, and for grade 5, we came here for my dad's job, grew up here, went to high school here, and actually my folks moved again for my dad's job when I graduated, pretty much same weekend.
A lot of moving around, right?
A lot of moving around, but good opportunities. I mean, he was able to move up and became a superintendent with CN Rail, and really led some huge operations for the company, and so really neat opportunities to move around with.
Yeah, and then so you came here, and tell me a little bit more about yourself. You went to school here, elementary school. What happened then?
So I mean, I remember thinking when we got told we're moving to Prince George, I remember thinking, where the heck is that? Yeah. I have no idea. I'm a 10-year-old kid. I've never been to BC.
Sure.
Why would I know? And so I went to school, and I told my teacher, and she goes, I've heard of Prince George. And we're looking on one of those giant maps, and we're kind of scanning around looking for Prince George. And then one of my classmates goes, there it is.
Further north.
Yeah, further north. We're all looking down the Okanagan, Vancouver area. And so, that's where we're going. And anyways, we moved here, and that's really kind of where life started taking off as a 10-year-old. I mean, before that, you don't really have a lot of your own life. And so start getting into hobbies and activities and getting into sports a bit more. And it was just a really good upbringing in Prince George. I went to Southridge, then I went to College Heights. And it was in high school, I believe I was 13, when I got my first job working with, him, Dave Mothis.
Yeah, sure.
He gave me my first job DJing.
Yeah.
Where? All around town. I did a little bit of...
As a 13-year-old?
Mm-hmm. I would do weddings, I would do banquets and Christmas parties and anniversaries. My first gig alone was actually a 50th anniversary at the Bon Voyage Banquet Hall.
Yeah.
That was my first gig ever alone.
Yeah. Did you have ambitions to do that? How did you meet Dave Mothis?
I'm sure he would tell the story very similar to me, but I harassed him until he gave me a job. I kept calling the guy saying, I want a job, I want a job. And you're doing a dance at my school. Can I come and help set up? Can I be part of this?
Yeah.
And they would let me a little bit. And then finally, Dave invited me. I called him and he said, okay, well, come and have an interview with me and my business partner.
Yeah.
So I go over to the house. I'm wearing a shirt and tie. My mom drops me off.
Yeah.
and him and his partner are on pogo sticks out front of the office and bouncing around like goofs, right? And so I'm taking it all serious, and they go, who's this kid? They go inside, they get, they're kind of doing me a favor, give me this interview, give me a chance. And really quick they went, you know a lot about older music, classic rock, and things people want to party to and dance to.
Exactly.
And so they gave me the chance. But my aspirations from a very young age were to get into radio. And so radio and DJing go hand in hand.
So where did you get into the radio?
Well, so when I was really young, my parents bought me this toy. And I've never really told this story too much, but it was this little toy. It had a microphone built in, had a little cassette deck built in, and it had a bunch of, clapping applause buttons or boo or buzzers or, ding, ding, dings, and just like sound effects. And you could plug in another thing, another stereo. So I would plug in my other stereo, and I would have 3 channels going. And it was an FM broadcaster, and it would go about a block distance, so all my neighbors could tune into my little radio show.
Never heard of it.
It was a little toy in the 90s, and so they gave me that.
It triggered something in you.
I loved it.
You liked it.
I have a tape somewhere in a bin at my house, and it's called, it's titled Kyle Rock 101, and I think my mom recorded one of my shows back when I was 7, 8, and I used to record, you could record on cassettes from the radio, and you'd tune in. And I would record commercials so I could play commercial breaks, and I would record songs. And I hated it when the DJ on air would talk over the intro of the song, because then it would be talking on my show. So I would record these things, and I'd host my little show, and I'd have my sister coming in for an interview and talk about her basketball game that day and all sorts of stuff. And so that's where it got started. The passion started with a little toy that my parents gave me.
Still is there today, and we're going to talk more about that. But you, one of the driving force behind the Country Rock of the North, that's on this weekend, in fact, and then another one 2 weeks from now.
That's right.
And
it all goes hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
Music.
So are there still tickets available?
There are. So we've got 2 festivals.
Okay.
Cariboo Rocks The North this weekend, and then the Best Damn Music Fest, which is country, the next weekend.
Okay.
And I'm wearing separate hats. So on one hat, it's Pacific Western Brewing. We are the force behind Cariboo Rocks The North. We partner with the CN
we'll
Center.
talk about that a little bit more either, because you're quite involved. You got so much going on.
So many hats, right?
Yeah. So, okay, tell us that, because I want to get it out there that's happening this weekend, Country Rock, and the other show as well. And I want to know if there are more tickets available. Where do we get them? How much do they cost? All those kind of things, right?
So for this weekend, Cariboo Rocks The North is the rock show, and there's tickets available at ticketsnorth.ca. Okay. It's a 3-day festival. We got some great artists lined up. Tickets North. Where's the event? It's at Exhibition Park, right outside the CN Center. So here in Prince George. It's this is our 3rd year, weirdly enough, because we've been on a hiatus because of COVID. But we started this event in 2018, and before that, it actually was a smaller concert that took place at the brewery that I started years prior. So it's kind of evolved into this bigger and bigger festival.
Who are playing?
So we've
some
got,
of the big names that are there.
So Tom Cochran's our big name on Saturday night. We've got Nazareth, Trooper, Harlequin, Helix, Headpins. We've got
These
Toronto.
are all top performance.
These are huge names from Canadian classic rock. I mean, Nazareth is a UK, an international act. Sweet is a UK and North American act, and they're coming. We've got some big names coming.
How many tickets have you sold so far?
Oh gosh, we don't talk about that usually, but so I don't have it off the top of my head. But usually,
how many do you like to have?
We usually see about 3,000 a night at Cariboo Rocks The North.
Between 3,000 and 5,000.
Yeah, definitely closer to the 3,000, but usually about 3,000 a night is our average.
There's lots of room.
We can grow, and so it's early days. A festival like ours is still growing. It's
so it's something that likely will happen again, over and over again, year after year.
Yeah,
Is
absolutely.
it annual?
It is. So 2018 was our first.
Yeah.
We moved it from the brewery to the CN Center. Added the 2 extra days, made this big event. And then we've gone. 2019 was our second year. We had 2020 planned, ready. We had to cancel with COVID. We had 2021 planned and ready. Had to cancel with COVID, but now we're back, 2022, and the intent is to continue.
Isn't the fellow involved Mickelson?
Glenn Mickelson.
Yeah.
He's our partner. I mean, without Glenn, we wouldn't have this event.
No.
He's incredible.
Yeah. Where is he from again?
So now you're testing me. I believe Glenn is from Calgary.
And
I believe.
He's an expert in those areas.
Did you know, fun fact about Glenn Mickelson, you should talk to Glenn. Fascinating guy.
Yeah.
And I love the guy. He's written 2, if not 3 books about chuck wagon racing. He's an expert. So I know
he's an author.
Yeah, just like yourself, which I think is, I mean, it's a good time. You guys should chat. He's a fascinating guy. He knows so much about so many different topics. And
Let's make sure we get him on the show here. We'll talk to Scott about that at some point.
He's a real gem of Prince George, and I think one of those unsung heroes almost. I mean, it's great to recognize some of the great entertainment that comes from Prince George, but not always do people think, oh, Glenn Mickelson was behind that, and he is oftentimes.
Wow. So now that's this week, this show. What's the price?
So the price, you're really testing me. $74.99 for single day passes.
Yeah.
And for a 2-day pass or 3-day pass, is $199. And
not
for
bad,
VIP, not bad. You're getting a lot of bands.
3
11
days
bands
of top music.
Yeah,
and
11 bands.
Oh, yeah, unbelievable.
For $200. And then if you want to go VIP, which is a really great package, and this year we've elevated it. Literally, we have it up on a raised platform overlooking the whole crowd. It's really neat VIP experience, and that's $425. So a bit more, but you get a lot of perks with it. Early entrance, you get free food and bev, cheaper drinks.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I love it. So that's this weekend, starting on
Friday, August 5th.
August 5th, that is this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
That's right.
And then we go forward to 2 weeks?
Yeah, no, 1 week. So August 12th and 13th.
Okay, same location?
Site, same location outside the CN Center. And it's the Best Damn Music Fest. And so if I switch hats a little bit, like I said, Cariboo Rocks The North is I do that with my day job with Pacific Western Brewing, who I've worked with for a number of years.
Yeah.
I have my own business, a bit of an entrepreneur with events. And I own the Best Damn Music Fest, which is a big country music fest, the biggest in northern BC.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
How long has that been going on?
So this, we attempted to launch last year and then had to cancel a few days in advance because of COVID.
Yeah.
We were good to go and they changed the rules just days in advance. And of course we want to make sure we're safe.
Yeah.
And so we postponed the event till this summer.
Yeah.
And so this is the first one.
Yeah. So so that is on then. What are the bands there that are playing?
So Friday night, we kick it all off. Friday, August 12th, we have Rick Stavely, local guy opening up.
Yeah.
He's a local musician, country musician, really well received and has a number of albums under his belt.
Yeah.
Then we have Rick Stavely, Aaron Pritchett, big name in country music, Western Canadian boy.
Yeah.
Actually a BC boy. Then we have the Hunter Brothers, which really cool group. They are all brothers, and they're all actually hockey players as well as musicians, and they own a family farm together. So they farm when they're not performing, and a couple of them actually had made it to the NHL before switching over to music. So really neat career story of Hunter Brothers. And then our headliner for Friday night is quite a big name, Brett Kissel, who is loved in Canadian country music and a big award-winning artist. Saturday night, we kick it off with Kim Gucci and Northern Lights. Then we move on to Chris Goodwin Band. Then we have, who's next? The Washboard Union is next on the lineup.
Right.
They're BC guys as well. Really neat band. They got these big beards. They almost look like ZZ Top, but for the country world. Like these big beards, cool outfits. Yeah. But they don't just look the part, they are the part. They're a great band. So we got the Washboard Union, and then we go into Corb Lund. And if you haven't heard him, he's Glenn Mickelson's favorite country artist, I'm pretty sure. But he, neat performer, very that outlaw kind of unique country, and he puts on a great show. And then we've got huge country artist Dean Brody headlining us. So 9 great bands over 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
And that again is Friday, Saturday?
Yes.
Yes.
So 2-day pass for that one is $179.
Yeah.
And then single day passes for $100. So if you go for 2 days, you save the $20, which is a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
And I'll give your viewers a deal. If they want to buy tickets, they can use the promo code Sampson SAMPSON 10, and that'll give them 10% off.
Wow.
So we're giving it out a few places.
$20.
Yeah, another $20.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So now that's the music side. Now you are also a councillor of the city of Prince George.
Yeah.
The council of the city of Prince George. You were elected in, I believe, 2018.
Yeah.
And your first term, and you were the youngest ever councillor elected to the city.
That's right.
How old were you?
I was 25.
25.
Yeah, I was 25.
And you have been now That's year number 4. There's going to be an election this November.
This October 15th. It's coming quick, actually.
So are you going to get back in again?
You want to break the news, eh? You want to break the news. I haven't announced if I'm running or not yet. But what I'll say is I love working for our city. I think Prince George, you said it in your intro, Prince George has an abundance of opportunity. Yeah. There's so much to offer for young families, young entrepreneurs. It's a gem. And I think it's often underestimated as a community. And so I see the role that I sit on as a councillor as helping harness that and really kind of taking Prince George to its full potential. I like the governance side. I like helping make sure that City Hall runs smoothly and effectively. I like promoting our city, our community. I just want Prince George to be the best it can, and diversifying our economy is going to be a part of that, as we've talked about before. And so I think for me, I think there's more work to be done, and so I haven't announced yet, but I'm really strongly considering putting my name for it again, because I think there's more to be done.
Rumors on the street are, a couple of things I should say about is that, we're very lucky with our council, and the rumors on the street are that you likely will be running again, and there are other rumors on the street, and I don't want to put you on the spot, is that Cal may be running for mayor, a possibility, but anyway, we won't talk about that. I'm just telling you what the rumors on the street
I've heard the rumors too.
Yeah, so the likelihood is that, then, okay, let me put my 2 beats in then. I think you've done a very, very good job, and, and I like to see the youth and the, the excitement and the passion in council, and you bring that to the table as others. And and obviously the future is a bright one, and it's interesting. You like politics, right? Because why would you want to get involved in city council? And I'm asking a question to which I likely know the answer, but
I think so. It's funny. Maybe I'm wrong. Part of me thinks that nobody gets into politics thinking I like politics. I think you want to help make your community better. I think you want to help solve problems. I think you want to help be part of something bigger than you are. And that's how I see it. And so it was never, I want to be in politics. It was, I love my community and I want to give back in one of the biggest ways I can think of. I want to contribute to that. I want to be part of that. And so, ironically, I do enjoy politics. I enjoy advocating for our city and working with other levels of government. I enjoy figuring out what's our community want and need, and where are people at? And so, ironically, I think the two mesh really well. But my mindset was never, oh, I love politics, and that's where I'm going with it.
Right.
To answer your question, I think I really just I really like being part of that bigger picture for our community and putting everything I have into helping us advance as a city.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, I found it for myself. I was quite involved too in different areas, mainly provincial politics, if you wish. But at some point, you have to walk the talk, right? And I was a riding president for a period of time. I even ran for an MLA of Prince George Mount Robson against one of my friends that has done a fabulous job, Shirley Bond.
That's right. I remember you telling me that. I didn't know that until you told me. I think it was 2018, shortly before my election that I ran, and I think you told me that story.
Yes, and that was way back in 2001, I believe, 20 years ago. But there is something about it that, that for all the same reason that you say, yes, I love British Columbia. I love Canada, British Columbia, and in particular Prince George in northern British Columbia. I've spent nearly 60 years here, and I just love it. There's so much potential.
It's funny that you say, especially Prince George. When I talk about Prince George, I mean, in my role as a city councillor, I definitely see the borders of our community, and this is our city limits. But it's funny how usually when I refer to our community, and I think Tourism Prince George does it, and I think almost everybody who lives here, we don't see city limits. We see Prince George as this beautiful region, which does encompass smaller communities. It does encompass the regional district, but it's I mean, what is the stat? There's something like 1,000 lakes within a half an hour drive of our community, or something like that, right?
Amazing.
It's incredible. And so, you're right. When you talk about how you love BC and Canada and Prince George especially, it's this region that you fall in love with, right?
And the other part about it, Kyle, is that, we had a tough time, with hot weather and forest fires. I think it was 2018, 2019, when a lot of damage was done in the region, and Prince George, together with the other regions, took on a leadership role in bringing in a lot of people into Prince George and helping and assisting. And so it has, in particular, over the last number of years, taking on that leadership role that is so important. And I say to my friends down south, that 75-80% of the GDP of the province of British Columbia is generated in northern BC.
That's right.
So
it's not
don't forget about it, guys. So
don't forget about us, 100%. So that advocacy work is important because it's easy to forget. We're so spaced out. We're so spread out. There's less people, but this is a huge economic driver for this province, is northern BC.
And a lot more stuff to happen, right?
Totally. And there's endless opportunity up here. I mean, we were talking in our council meeting just the other day. The airport came for a presentation. Well, look at the opportunities surrounding our airport. Prince George is a hub for transportation, rail, air, road networks.
No question.
But there's the free trade zone out by the airport. We had the third. Now we're the fourth longest runway in Canada. Huge. The biggest planes in the world can land here in Prince George. They can refuel here. This is a good hub for going to Asia for cargo or transport. Think about the opportunities with training for pilots. I mean, you take off from our airport, and within 5 minutes, you're in the middle of nowhere. You can do maneuvers in aircraft that you can't do in major hub centers. So there's so many opportunities in this area. I mean, our climate's perfect for data centers. Our climate's perfect for. There's endless opportunities. You could go on and on.
Another thing I wanted to talk to you a bit about is Pacific Brewing. You've been involved with them already for a long time.
It's funny. So I feel like somebody watching this is going to be so confused. What does he do? What is he all about? Where is he at? And I wear a few hats. I own my own business, and I do that on the side. And we're not a big business. We do events here and there. This music festival is our biggest, and that's always been a passion. I do some contract work, help out here and there with events, concerts, and tours and whatnot. Council, part-time job, of course. But my day job is full-time. Council's full-time, but really part-time, if you know. But my day job is with Pacific Western Brewing, and I've been there for over 6.5 years now. And I love it. It's a cool place to work. It's a cool place.
And so, what do you do there?
That's a loaded question. We're one of those small, big companies. We got a big production. We've got a large reach with our projects, but we're still a pretty small team. And so I think I have my hands in a lot of cookie jars with that company. My title is manager of Northern BC, as ambiguous as that is. And I look after some marketing, communications, branding, sales, events. I look after our reforestation program. So everything from creating products with the team to executing things like Cariboo Rocks The North to putting trees in the ground. We plant trees with partial proceeds of all beer sales, Cariboo beer sales. And so that's my job to execute that program, which is one of my favorite parts of my job, really.
So did you get hired when Komatsu was still there?
Yeah, she hired me.
And tell us a little bit about her, because she was an entrepreneur extraordinaire. She came from Japan. And invested here. And I think, if I remember correctly, Pacific Brewing at one time was owned by Ben Ginter, who may have started part of the branding, and then Komatsu came into the picture.
Yeah, she was the 7th owner. And if I remember correctly, I'm kind of the historian there now, and I'm pretty sure Ben was the 5th owner, but he was the most notorious or famous owner. He really took that brewery from me in this small little brewery to being what it was known. Uncle Ben's beer was...
put his picture on a bottle of beer.
I mean, he was innovative too. I mean, Ben Ginter, he wanted to charge less for his beer, and the government said no.
Yeah.
So he put a dime in every case of beer and gave the people the money back anyways.
Yeah.
He found a way around it. He was
Yeah.
the first kind of kickback to the customer.
Yeah.
And Casco continued that on. She purchased the brewery in 1991. And what was going on at the time was the brewery was going bankrupt. And the employees started pooling their money together to try to buy the brewery. And the union employees, they wanted to save their jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're willing to put their retirement savings at risk in order to save their jobs.
Yeah.
And Casco reached out to Tom Lebo, who was a 50-year employee. He only just retired recently, but she reached out to Tom and said, "Do you mind if I buy the brewery?"
He was there for a long time.
50 years.
Yeah.
50 years. And so
Yeah.
he said, "No, Casco, please buy the brewery."
Yeah.
And so she did. And her initial start with the company was actually contract manufacturing. So she was in Japan, and she wanted to bring an import in a beer into Japan. So she was hiring our brewery to manufacture and package a beer for her that she would then import into Japan. And that's
Why?
I think the market back then really demanded that. So she wanted to bring in Dragon Dry, which is the beer that she produced, and some more. And that's how she got her start. She just was having us
Are
manufacture.
they still doing that today into Japan, or?
We do no longer contract manufacture for anybody, but we will export to Japan on a contract basis
Right.
still. So for a long time we did it regularly, and now we do it on a contract basis with different groups over there.
How many people does it employ?
The brewery itself has about 40 union employees.
Yeah.
40-ish, 40 plus, give or
Yeah.
take. In the summer we ramp up
Yeah.
production, and so we have a few more summer people, and then we have another crew. We probably have close to 10 salespeople.
Yeah.
Selling the
On
products into
marketing
liquor
side.
stores and everywhere else, and
Yeah.
then we have a crew of accountants and marketing folk,
All the
and
support staff.
all the support staff, and so we big team.
When was it built? Because I came here in 1965. It kind of feels to me like it has always been there.
It wasn't that old. So this year is our 65th anniversary. 1957, the brewery was built.
That's why it was there. When
Yeah.
I thought mentally.
Yeah, because you're not far from there.
No.
Yeah, your operation's kilometer away.
Since 1975.
That's right.
So so that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. My goodness, so the and then what do you see now for that type of manufacturing here? Is there room for expansion potentially, or?
I have a lot of my own ideas, insights, views, opinions. When it comes to the operational side, I try to let them stay in their lane
Yeah.
and me stay in my lane.
Yeah.
I will say that I think having a regional brewery like ours is hugely beneficial to this region and and to our city. I think
very unique in a way.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool. I mean, how many independently owned breweries are there in Canada?
Yeah.
Not very many.
Who started it all?
So I don't know the original owner's name.
Yeah.
I don't know them, but it was originally Cariboo Brewing was what it was called. And we had, it started in 1957, and it's expanded over the years. We added an additional, Casco built an additional warehouse, more brewing capacity, those types of things. I think there's huge opportunity with our company and producing products that people want. We don't just do beer. Some people don't even know. We do vodka soda drinks and low-calorie vodka soda drinks.
I didn't know that.
Coolers, ready-to drinks.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I got to be part of the team that expanded. We had a brewery license, but I got to be part of the team that helped us get our distillery license to do spirits, and our cidery winery license to do wine or cider.
Yeah.
And so we have those licenses, and we do and can produce those products. And we do non-alcoholic products too. We have a pop line, root beer and ginger ale, and so it's a really unique business. But the thing that makes it as special as it is, the thing that I love the most about the company is it's a good place to work. It's a good corporate citizen company.
Yeah.
We support our community. We give back to our community, and that's why I like to work there.
Yeah, and that's another part that I was going to ask you about. The Pacific Breweries obviously has been very involved in the community during the time of Komatsu, but also after that. And then you have been as well personally. You're very involved in the community, not just what you're doing, but some of the other things. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think with the brewery, so Casco passed away. Actually, I got the reminder on my Facebook just the other day. She passed away at the end of July 2018.
Yeah.
And her nephew, Taizan Komatsu, he took over right after, and he's doing a great job. Taizan's an awesome guy. We're lucky to work with Taizan. It's tough, very different personalities.
Yeah.
Kazko is, tough and strong businesswoman, and but you respected her, and you have that same respect for Taizan. It just comes in a different way, and he's a smart and thoughtful and hardworking guy, and so very cool to work for the Komatsu family, and it's so great to see that legacy continued on after her passing with Taizan, and we're lucky to work with Taizan, and we're lucky that Taizan has that same vision, you could say, as Kazko did in supporting where you do business. This is our home. So you got to give back. You got to be part of the community.
Exactly.
And there's nothing worse than a big corporation coming in and saying, we're going to do business here. We're going to benefit off of your community, but we're not going to give back. Nobody wants that.
Or you never hear from them or see them, right?
Absolutely. So we, that was really important to her, and that's really important to Taizan. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like my position there and I like working there so much, is because I can really get behind what we're all about as a company. We're in it for the right reasons. We give back in the right ways, not just with the reforestation, but we sponsor sports events. We sponsor entertainment events, community events, charity events, all sorts of stuff we support and get out there and be connected. And so when you say, I get out there too, I look for that when I was looking for the next opportunity for me when I joined PWB, I wanted to find a company that I shared values with, that I thought, I'm on board with that. We align with our values and what we believe is right and wrong in business, and I'm lucky that PWB has that.
Yeah. So if you look forward now, for yourself in terms of a career, you're still very young, obviously, relatively speaking to me. I'm 82 today, but or nearly 82 in the next 3 months. But you've been so active in a lot of areas that obviously politics has been good for you because it teaches you a lot of things. You get exposed to so many things, especially in a community like Prince George and in the region. How do you see it for yourself looking forward?
It's
you're entrepreneurial, right?
Totally.
It's
funny. I am a young guy. I'm 30 this year.
Yeah.
And for a lot of folks, they go, well, you're only 30, but I've been fortunate in that I've jam-packed a lot of career and a lot of life into my 30 years.
Yeah.
I started working when I was 13. I started my own business when I was 15.
Yeah.
My own DJ company. I paid off my equipment within a year. By 16, I had all my equipment paid off. Like that's my,
unique.
It's unique. And so I've been fortunate that I feel like anything's possible. And so if I want to pursue politics, I feel like that's available to me because I think I can take my experience and the things that I've learned in my private sector career, and I can apply that in that day-to-day kind of political world. If I choose to stick with my private sector career longer and then maybe go to politics or maybe never go to politics, I had that experience, and I've learned a lot from
Extremely
being on council.
valuable.
Being on council, I've learned a tremendous amount. I've been able to bring stuff to the table, I've been able to digest stuff, and then apply that somehow, right? So I think, and I would tell this to any young person, you can do anything. I would tell this to anybody, not just young people.
Yeah.
You can do anything if you work at it and work hard and put your mind to it. And so the future, I think, is slightly an open book still to see, what's the right thing at the right time. I could tell you, I'm going to run for prime minister. Who knows? If that's the right thing at the right time, then that's what you do. And if it's not, then that's not what you do. You got to be in it for the right reasons, right? So, I could tell you, I'm gonna be at PWB for the next 20 years, or I'm gonna be on council not for the next 20 years. Help me if I'm, if I'm still sticking around that long. But I think that's the great thing about life, and I think COVID, maybe that's a silver lining from COVID, is it's kind of helped you realize that take it as it comes and do the best thing that's
Has it taught you something, COVID? And
Yeah.
where things, for a lot of people, a lot of things changed around them, right?
Prioritizing, right? And
Yeah.
and just seeing that life can change like that, and so you got to take what's right in front of you, and you got to harness that and channel that in the right direction.
Yeah.
If the right opportunity, if the right thing to do is to run for council again, if I think that I can be a benefit to our community, then I'll do that.
Yeah.
If I don't see that I can give back in a meaningful way, then why take up that seat from somebody who could do better, right?
Yeah.
And so you got to be in the right mindset. So yeah.
Interesting part about this is that, from an early age, I started working when I was 14. And, I was not overly successful in school. And I
Me
failed
either.
grade 3 once and then grade 7 3 times. So that was the formal side. So obviously, then from there and then, I was trained as a furniture maker.
Really?
Yeah. And
At what age?
at 14, I went into a furniture factory. They, after I failed grade 7 the third time, they had to make a decision and say, should we send them, there's a problem here of some sort, should we send them to the mentally challenged school or do we get them a job? And so the choice was to get me a job, and they sent me to the furniture factory, and I became a furniture maker.
Wow, and that's where your passion for working with wood came from, or?
Partially, Kyle. The other one was that my dad worked in the lumber industry, and my grandfather was a master carpenter. Although I never knew him, but I've seen the work that he did, and and so I've always liked wood, and I've always been attracted to it, and and my hope was, then I was born in 1940. 1945 is we were liberated by the Canadians, and from that point forward I always knew, and I bring that up every time virtually when I talk to somebody about that, is that I always knew from that point forward at 5 that I wanted to go at some point to the lands of my heroes, the Canadians, so yeah.
It's amazing how still today, all these years later, the gratitude that comes over to Canada, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
you don't see that anywhere else. I mean, countries have aided other countries for thousands of years, but the bond between our countries is pretty
And Holland,
unique.
Canadians are very highly thought of, even from the young children in school. Yeah, and Canada is something very, very special.
That's cool. I think going back a bit to your comment about starting work at 14, I wouldn't necessarily suggest that every 14-year-old goes out and gets a job. Everyone's unique in their own way. But, I mean, I see the similarity between us in that I think starting work at a young age really taught something that, school, for both of our cases, couldn't teach you: work ethic.
No.
And hard work and determination. And I've got a job to do, and I'm going to get it done because there's expectations of me where I didn't know that about you. I wasn't a stellar student. I thrived in school in so many ways. I was on leadership, and I was always planning all the charity events and the surprise, and all the dances and everything else under the sun at school, raising money for all these programs, doing extracurricular things.
I was very good at that too. I was making
Band, all the
money,
fun.
collecting newspapers and selling them, doing entrepreneurial stuff, but I was not very good sitting in class.
Same.
But then it took me a number of years until I was 57 when I picked up a book, and I opened the book on 3rd Avenue bookstore, and I looked in the book, Driven to Distraction, and it said, I said, now I finally know who I am, and ADHD was a benefit that I had. And
Taught you a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
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 Knowing that, having that kind of awareness of, oh, this makes sense now, rather than just, I don't get it.
And not only that, I knew it allowed me to do a whole lot of things that that other people could not do. Doesn't make me special, but I'm easily can do 10, 20 things all at the same time, different directions. And what allowed me to do that substantially is ADHD.
Interesting, eh?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would be surprised to discover that and maybe not expect it. But I think there's a lot more folks out there with little things like ADHD that are actually almost a benefit to them in some ways.
It is.
You got to harness it, right?
There is no question about that.
Yeah.
And then I wrote about that. I don't know if you've seen my book.
I haven't read it
Against
yet.
All Odds.
Yep.
Did
Oh,
you-
I haven't read the new one yet.
I'm going to get you a copy of it, though.
Perfect.
You know, the copy is ADHD, and you know so I'm going to sign it for you as well. I'm going to do that right now. Actually.
Oh, thank you.
You know but that changed. You know when I discovered it. You know, in the book that I picked up in the store, Driven to Distraction, when I was 57. It took me 5 years before I talked to my doctor about it. My doc was a family doctor, a friend. I'd known him for a long time. And one day I came into his office and he said, "Hey John, what can I do for you?" I just said, "You know something? I think I got ADHD." And so him and me, we kind of looked at it, and he kind of, from his knowledge, researched it and talked to me about the typical characteristics. And he said, "I think you do too." And you know, so then I was 62 then when I was diagnosed.
Wow.
And then you know so
20 years.
And then even then still I didn't talk about it much because I felt the stigma.
That's what I was going to ask about. How did was it hard to go and tell your doctor, "I think I've got this going on"? Like,
yeah, it took me 5 years before I go to my friend.
Yeah,
the
somebody you
doctor
trust.
Delivered my two daughters, and I'm fortunately very healthy. But I considered him. If I wouldn't tell him, who would I tell? You know. But I found the stigma of it. I had not dealt with that. It probably was not until 3-4 years ago, in particular, I started talking about it more. I'm a fairly active public speaker, that I included it into my presentations, and in particular when I was honored with the honorary doctorates of laws degree by University of British Columbia, and I included it there in my presentation, that you know, the PTSD as a result of Second World War, the inner child as an indirect result, and ADHD is you know, part of my makeup, and you know, and today. But then I also knew I had to be more vocal about it because there is stigma attached that people are not understanding in a lot of cases and are feeling ashamed, and so that's why I felt an obligation to write about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
I'm excited to read it. I think that's exactly in my mind. There's folks like you or myself who are maybe more able to speak about things. Everyone's going through their own stuff, and if you know, if you can speak up on issues that other folks don't necessarily feel as confident speaking up on, it helps them feel that confidence. It helps them feel like it's normal, okay, that they can reach out to their friends, right? And so, yeah, I really cool that you wrote this
to
book.
me, it's something that you know, I have to talk about it because it has benefited me in many, many ways. And it has also, you know, caused me challenges. When I was younger, I felt that I had failed, you know. And
school, there's no doubt that this was a hurdle because of, your school was a hurdle because of this, right?
Exactly, and so, but now more than ever, I you know, obviously the book very popular already, and very timely because more and more people are talking about it, and saying that virtually there's not a day go by that even this morning I talked to somebody that said, "I want a copy of the book because my nephew has it. Be very convinced, so send me a book." You know,
really?
So yeah. No, I'm going to spell your name
Kyle. Perfect. Thanks, John. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure, and we'll watch you through your career. I'm sure you're going to be around. You're going to make a difference.
I hope so.
We're looking forward to October the 15th, and hopefully, you know, that will be a success, including for you, I'm hoping. And you know, it's always a pleasure for me to see somebody that is so committed and doing so many things for the community and for the area and as a whole.
I appreciate that very much.
So again, my pleasure.
Thanks.
Thanks, Cal.
Thanks very much.